for this one, if I use my highlighter, not part of pen. So we have this, and then we'll make the back part be a highlighter. Okay, so for this one, I would highlight the entire snowman, right? Does that make sense what we're doing? Okay, I'm going to give you 5 more. You're going to draw a separate diagram each time, not try and shade on the same one. That would be chaos, okay? New Venn diagram each time. It's an AB Venn diagram like we have. All right, so this was 1. We're done it. 2, I want you to do this. Shade. All right. So for this one, I have A, B. This is intersection, which means and, because I can write the word and with it, right? And is what shape on a Venn diagram? Eyeball. So we shape, oops, I've dressed, pretend that's just the eyeball. God, I had a really thick highlighters. Okay. Now this one, a lot of people will get wrong. I set you up. I expect you will have errors. We have really just started it. This is not the unit exam. I expect you will have oopsies, okay? I'm not even going to correct you when I walk around. I just walk around to see if people are creating the oopsies that I kind of set you up for. At first, when people see A, they really think of this as A only. But did I put A only on it? Is there an only word? No, it says A. So if I'm asking you to shade A, that's everywhere there could possibly be an A, okay? So a lot of you will shade crescent moon at first, because you're shading like an A only. But if I say A, that means, unless I say only, that means anywhere that exists an A on a Venn diagram. So I have A, I have B, and anywhere that an A exists, I'm shading. We agree? So most people will pick this part for sure. And then they kind of crescent moon it. But is this still A over here? Yeah. So it's actually the whole A circle. Anywhere there's an A, I'm shading. Yeah? Okay. Like I said, if you have errors, I don't care. We're learning. What's the point of this? If you all just got it immediately, math would be so easy. Wouldn't that be great? There's no one in the world that does that. Oh, there's probably, that's a lie. There's probably a couple people. They're way smarter than me. Okay? All right. A, B. Now, this one says B. Does it say B only? Does it say B? So anywhere there's a B, I am shading. Do we agree? So here's B, here's B, here's B. There's also B's here. So it's actually this whole entire circle, isn't it? Right? Okay. Now, or often means more. So if I have a union or an or, I'm going to have quite a bit more shading, correct? Because if it's in here or it's in here, I shade it. Are these ors here? This is an and this is an and, correct? It's often a smaller piece of shading because it has to be where both of them exist. Okay? So, oh, don't know. Okay, well, good times. It got switched to a highlighter in the midst of me touching that. So, okay. So, for this one, and when you get and, you have to think. Like in mathematics, if you're doing something by sheer memorization, I'm scared. Okay? If you're a I do well in math because I memorize kid, that is a scary place to be. Because what if your memorization gets flipped or switched a little bit? You could make oopsies. But if you understand why something is the way it is, you'll never make a mistake because you understand why, you see it, you know why you're doing it, you're not trying to memorize something. I promise you math is better when you understand. So if you go to shade something and you're like, I'm just doing this because it's your memorization, call me over and be like, why am I doing this? Because I need to understand why so I can do well on a test. Because if you understand why, you will never make a mistake. If you memorize, you could make a mistake because you might forget when anxiety hits on a test, right? Which it will. Everyone has anxiety. You will always have it when you come to a test. If the people who come to a test and have none, not even a little bit, I'm very shocked because I'm like, wow, very good on you. I would always get anxious for every single test I had. Because it's the unknown, right? Then you see it and then you start writing the test, you're like, oh, this isn't too bad. Or you start writing it and you're like, oh my goodness, my anxiety level's going up because this is really bad. There's no in between, right? But I always got anxious before my exam, even in university, because it's that unknown. I don't know what's going to be on there. You should know what's going to be on your test because we practice the same thing. Okay? All right. So this one, I want A and B not. So let's not think about it as a Venn diagram because that's a little bit confusing. Let's think about it as I need the people in this class to raise their hand if they are in math and social. Go. Math and social. Does the whole class raise their hands when I say math and social? No. Watch. Math or social. Raise your hand. Everyone check your hands. Raise because you're in math currently. Right? So math or social would be everyone. Because immediately all the math is going to go up. And cool, you're in social, that's great. You're not going to like double hand it. Right? You're just, okay? Math and social means you need to be in both. That's why it's a smaller portion. Math or social means if I'm in math or I'm in social, my hand's getting raised. You're all in math, so I would expect all your hands raised because you're in my math class right now. Okay? All right. If I want the people that are in A and not B, at the very maximum, I'm going to shade all of A because it needs to be in both things, right? So if I want the people who are in A but not in B, that's why I get the crescent moon. Remember when we have this A but not the other thing? I get the crescent moon because I need the people who are in A but not in B, which is the crescent moon. These are the people who are in A but they're not in B. Yeah.
So if there's A or not B, it would then be the box.
It's going to be a whole bunch of things. We're going to shade A, and we're going to shade all the not B, and then we're going to see what's left over, which we're going to do after this.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not touching that right now because I want everyone to get this solidified. So if it's A but not B, it's just A only, right? It's a fancy way of saying A only. So this one, I want what's in B but not A, correct? So I go to B, I'm like, cool, I have all of B, and then I cover up all the A spots, and then I'm left with that crescent moon again, right? Make sense? A but not B. B but not A. What is and? It's a smaller portion because they have to be in both those things. Okay. Now, what if it's an or? So what if I have A or not B? To be honest, ors are easy because you just shade each separately and call it a day. Because if it's an A or it's in not B, I keep it all, right? So when it's an or, if I want to, I can just shade each of these with a different color, and I'll show you what I mean. So when it's an or a union, I can shade each separately. So let's see. I don't know why that just went away, but okay. I'm going to shade A as blue. Okay? So if I'm an A, or I'm in not B. So that represents all the A people. People taking math, let's say, right? And then say B is social. Now I want all the people not taking social. I'm going to shade them in yellow. So not B means everything but B. We agree? So I'm going to go like completely around B and then shade everywhere else. And I call it a day. Do I care that there's 3 different colors there? Nope. Every place that's shaded would stay. Because those are the people who are in A or in not B. What is the green actually? What's the green? The green is that crescent moon. Yeah. Only A. So that would be if this symbol was an and. If this symbol was an and, I'd keep the green, because that's where both of them existed. Because what does blue and yellow make? Green. That's why the and is the crescent moon. So like if this was an and symbol in between, remember how I said A and but not B? It's the crescent moon. It's the crescent moon because look, that's where it became green, isn't it? And green is where both of them exist. But for or, that's it. So if I wanted to shade it myself, I could just go like this. Okay, cool, that's where it exists. Awesome. So it's technically everywhere but the crescent moon. B. Like these are the same, right? That's just all in yellow. This is a few more colors, but it's still shaded. They're the same thing. So when it's the and not, the crescent moon is the only thing shaded. When it's the or not, the crescent moon is the only thing not shaded. Kind of the opposite of that. All right? Okay. Here's some information. You're going to fill in a Venn diagram. Okay? I'm not helping you. Let's see if you can do it. We have 40 students. There are 30 who like to read. There are 10 that like to write. And then there are 3 who like both. Fill in a Venn diagram. Are we allowed short form words on a Venn diagram? Can we put like an R and a W? If you do a legend, you can. So if you're like, let R represent read, let W represent write, then you can. If not, you write the whole thing. We agree? Okay. Other things about Venn diagrams. Am I allowed to show mathematical work in my Venn diagram? No, I'm allowed to show the number that fits in my Venn diagram, but not the mathematical work. Okay? So, we have ourselves a Venn diagram. The blue box over here. Okay, cool. So here I have read, write, and then I put 40 out here to help myself, because I know in the end, when I'm done filling in all 4 spaces, I have 40. Okay? 4 spaces, 40. All right, where do I have to start? Always. In the middle, in the and, in the eyeball. Correct? The eyeball is and is where both of them exist, which makes sense because it's the overlap between where both of them are, so where both of them exist, right? So, we have to start there first. There are 3 that like both of them. Okay? Now, in the why am I starting with the middle anyways? So some people start with the middle. You guys all listen to me. You know that's the and then you go to read and you put 30 here. Why do we have to start off with the middle? Yeah.
Because then you can subtract it from both sides.
Right, because we already have 3 reading, right? They happen to be writing as well because they're super cool English people, but they still are reading, right? Okay, so we have 30 who read. So in the read circle, I need to have 30. So how many read only? 27. Okay, what about writing? There are 10 who write. So how many write only? 7. Now what do I have to not forget? Yeah. That there's 3 more people that don't read or write. They don't like reading or writing. They probably read and write, but they don't like reading or writing. They like math, like me. Actually, I like reading. I would fall in the reading column. Writing? All right. So, always remember there are 4 spots on a Venn diagram that need to be filled. What if they were all filled already? What if those 3 were perfect and that was 40? What would I put on the outside? I could put 0, right? There would just be no people out there. Yeah? Put a 0. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, go for it. So, I have 27 plus 3, which is 30, 37, so I need 3 more on the outside. Then, I didn't ask you any questions. I didn't ask you any questions because I didn't want to lead you into where the heck you needed to go with this. But there are 4 questions that will probably come out of this one. Okay? One question, what do you think I could ask that wasn't given to you but you now have? Yeah.
How many don't like to read or write?
How many don't like to read or write? Which would be 3. Cool. Okay, what other question could I ask? Yeah.
How many only read?
How many like to only read? Which would be 27. Yeah.
How many only write?
How many like to only write? Which would be 7. What's one more?
How many don't write?
How many don't write? We could ask that. And then it would be here, those people who read, right? What's another one?
How many students in total?
We have students in total. We have 40. But you're getting close to where I'm going. Very close.
How many students read and write?
Read and write we already have. You're so close. Read or write? The snowman. I didn't ask the snowman, did I? Could I ask the snowman now? Yeah, I could. So those are the different dynamics of what numbers I didn't directly give you, right? But there are still other ones that you guys came up with that I didn't even think of. Totally works, right? So is this Venn diagram easier because I gave the and? Yes. Okay, I'm going to give you the next variance of information. Ready? Once again, we're going to have 40 students. I'm not changing that. I'm going to keep reading and writing because I don't really care. Because really, we're just comparing 2 things. Does it matter if I change what those 2 things are? Is that going to change the dynamic of what you're going to do? No, but the numbers I give and what they are does change it. So, I'm going to say 40 students. I'm going to say that 17 like to read only. I am going to say that 15 like to write only. And I'm going to say that 3 do not like to read or write. They'll do it, but they don't like it. Still in the Venn diagram. So I told you have to start in the middle, right? In the and, in the eyeball. In this case, am I given the and or the eyeball? No. Now, I am given things that have the word only. Do you see that? The word only exists there. If at any point in time I give you anything with the word only, you can put it in at any point in time because it's not being affected by anything else. Okay? So, I'm going to do reading and writing. And remember, this is the time to make errors. So, am I giving you the same thing over and over and over so you can just mass reproduce what I'm doing, or am I testing to see if you're getting the information? I'm testing to see if you're getting the information. So, if you get something wrong, no big deal. You learn from it, right? Okay. So, I have 40 students again. So, on the outside, I'm going to have 40. I can put the 3 that do not like to read or write immediately because they're going to be on the outside, yes? And the onlys I can put in right away because they're not affected by anything else. They only like this and they only like that. And something only means just one piece. You're going to be in one piece of a Venn diagram. So if there's 17 who read only, they're going to go into this only reading crescent moon. And if there's 15 who write only, they're going to go into the 15 crescent moon. Yes? How do I find the overlap? 40 minus those other 3, right? 40 minus 17 minus 3 minus 15, which I believe is 35, so it's 5 in the middle. So whenever I get something with an only, you can immediately go to that spot, right? And you can fill it in. All right. What questions could I have asked? Yeah.
How many students like to read and write?
How many students like to read and write? What would the answer be? 5. Andrew? How many read total? Because I didn't give you read total. I gave you read only, right? How many would it be?
Read total 22.
22. Yeah. Any other ones?
Write total.
How many write total? Which would be 20. Yeah.
How many read and write total?
Read and write. We did. Yeah. We've done. We did. This is why I don't write a lot. See how I just did that? Yeah.
Who likes to read or write?
Read or write? Snowman. How many is that? 37, would you have had to do anything if I actually asked that? Or could you have found it really quick? You could have done 40 minus the outside, which is 37, right? Yeah. A lot of people will give me the full Venn diagram, which is good. I'm happy with that, but you could just subtract the outside. Okay. And we're going to go to our last one, which is a bit harder. I don't give you the and. I give you each of the singles. So I'll tell you how many read. I'll tell you how many write. I'll tell you how many do not like to do either. And you have to, and I'll give you the total, and you have to get the and. Remember, we went over that a few times. You did like 3 or 4 examples in your own set. So once again, I'm going to give you 40 students. And now I'm going to tell you that 30 like to read. And I'm going to tell you that 12 like to write. So I give you the total. I give you how many read, how many write, how many in neither, right? So I'm going to tell you that 2 do not like to read or write. Now I want you to fill in the Venn diagram and come up with the questions I could ask you. Okay, we're doing this again. Fill in the Venn diagram. It's a little different again. And what questions could I ask you? Go. So we talk about it, and we can take the 2 off and make it 38, or we can keep the 2 on and count tickets. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to show you the way that you can keep the 2 on and count tickets that way too. You pick which way makes more sense in your head. All I know is when I get to this Venn diagram, what's this little blue box on the side of it? We have read, we have write, and inside this somehow I need to have 40 students. And we talked about this before. We talked about if I had math and social, if I was in math and social, I would put in 2 tickets, correct? When we were doing math and social. So the amount that I'm giving you is the number of tickets that got put in, okay? Now, the people who do not read or write would always only put in 1 ticket. They'd grab the do not read or write ticket, they'd put it in, correct? They would create 1. But there could be people who like to read and write, so they would take the read ticket, they'd take the write ticket, and they'd put in 2 tickets. We agree? So yes, there are 40 students, but does this mean that there are actually 44 students? No, these would be, I don't know, yeah, I still highlight tips. These would be the number of tickets that were put in. Now, if you put tickets on your diploma, is anyone going to know what tickets means? No. But I'm trying to make you understand what it actually would be, right? So that is the number of total tickets that got put in. So when people walked up to the desk and they put in a read or a write ticket, or I do not like either of those tickets, we had 30 people put in a read ticket. We had 12 people put in a write ticket. Could some of those people have been overlapped? Put in 2 at a time? Yeah. And then we had 2 people put in I don't like it. So in reality, there were 44 tickets put into this basket, right? 44 total. Problem being, there's how many students? 40. What does that tell me? There are 4 in the middle. Because there had to have been 4 that walked up and put 2 in. Yes? Does that make more sense? The starting, am I getting a few more people on board? Because it takes a bit sometimes to get a few more people on board. Sometimes it's the 7th time. I will get everyone on board. But that's okay. You see it in a whole bunch of different ways it works. Does that make more sense? This is the number of tickets put in. Problem is there's only 40 students, so 4 of them had to have put in 2. Right? So we put 4 in the middle. If you make a mistake when you do all the mathematics, you will not have 40. So that'll be a hint. Okay? Now I said 30 read. There happens to already be 4 reading. So how many read only? 26. Then writing, how many are there? Writing, there are 12. Yeah. There would be 8 only. Exactly. And then on the outside we have 2. When we add that up, we get 40. We feel confident. We have the right total. We feel good about ourselves. Yes? What questions could I have asked about this? Anyone know? Pardon? It doesn't matter.
How many students read or write?
How many students read or write? The snowman. Exactly. We count up the 3 numbers. Give it. Yep. How many like to read and write? Both. 4. Exactly. Okay.
How many,
How many like to only read? Eleanor? How many like to only write? Logan, do you have any other one? I think we've covered all of them. I guess we could. Yeah.
Just how many don't read?
Yeah, how many don't read? So if I actually covered up the don't read, it would cover up the whole thing and I'd get 10, right? So I would still need to find that 4 to give it. And how many don't write would be that. And how could we represent that? W or write with a complement, correct? So it would mean everything but. Exactly. Okay, so we're going to get you to flip to your notes to the 3 circle Venns. Just like with 2 circle Venn diagrams, that's a terrible eyeball. The eyeball shape is still what? What does it represent? And, intersection, symbol. Because even though, guys, there are 3 things happening now, if I ask for read and write, it would still be the eyeball between the read and the write circles, right? If we have 2 circles and I go look for the eyeball between those 2 circles, and I would ignore the fact there's a third and don't really care about it right now. Okay? So still that symbol. And our snowman, weirdly, a 2-man, oops, I don't know, I'm giving him like 3 eyes. There's a problem. Poor snowman. Give him some arms, some thingies. Okay, cool. He's got like, the buttons are terrible. I don't even know what's going on. Anyways, he's got a whole bunch of buttons. What does the snowman represent? Or. Did that change? No. It represents or this symbol, which also means what? Even starts with that symbol looking letter. Union. And our singles are still just the circles, right? Like if I said, how many read? You'd go to the read circle and you'd add them all up. There's just a few more adding numbers to add, that's all. Because it's cut into more pieces. So for example, like if I look down here and I wanted P represents people who watch Perfect Rebel, well, I would add up the whole P circle, right? There's more numbers in it because there's more cuts. And if I wanted P and C, I'd still use that eyeball. If I wanted P or C, I'd still use that snowman. There's just more numbers to count up. But still same shape, right? Nothing changed. Do you agree? All right. So here it says the Venn diagram displays the results of a survey of 100 students. I'm going to write the 100 out here, and I'm always going to double check to make sure that all of the numbers add up to 100. Now, 2 circle Venn diagrams have 4 pieces you need to fill in. 3 circle Venn diagrams have 8. So always make sure there's 8 numbers on it. 2 circle has 4 numbers on it, right? The 3 in the snowman and the 1 on the outside. 3 circles have 8. So if I look here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. That's good. They should add up to 100. We have 100 students. So let's check. 68, 70, 76, 77, 78, 81, 90, 91, 98, 100. Right? So I added them all up. They worked out to 100. Hopefully they should work out to 100. Give it to you. Yep. Okay. So this says the Venn diagram displays results of 100 students in a high school regarding movies they've watched the last 2 weeks. Okay? So they surveyed. Of those people, they asked, P represents the number of people who watched Perfect Rebel. So that was the movie of probably the last 2 weeks. Then C represents people who watched Chill. D is Dazed. And there it is. And then I have 2 on the outside. What do those 2 on the outside represent? People didn't watch any of those. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they watched something totally different or didn't watch TV at all, right? They didn't watch it. So I am not teaching you how to do this right now. I'm going to see, hopefully in pencil, what you can give me for answers, and let's see if you can get them. Remembering that and is the eyeball, or is the snowman, The singles are the whole circle. Don't overwhelm yourself. Use a pencil. If you get it wrong, who cares? That's what erasers are for. Okay? Try it out. So this one says, how many students watched only Perfect Rebel? Now the key thing is, if you have the word only, ever, it will be one number. If you are adding more than like one, you're doing too much work. Okay? Because if I only like something, I'm in one region, one of the 8 regions. Remember, a 3-circle Venn diagram has 8 regions, 2-circle Venn diagram has 4. If you have the word only, it's one region because they can only like one thing. So this one here says, how many students watched only Perfect Rebel? How many would it be? 3. It's these ones right here. Because the one over here represents Perfect Rebel and Days. This one's Perfect Rebel. 6 is all 3 of them. 1 is Perfect Rebel and Chill, right? So if we want only Perfect Rebel, it's one region. Go find it. If you're adding more than one number, or if you're adding numbers at all, something's wrong. Because only is one region, one of the 8 regions. Okay? Now, how many students watched Perfect Rebel? Does this one say Perfect Rebel only? Or does this mean if they watched Perfect Rebel, I include them? Right? Could they watch anything else? Could they watch all 3? Yes. If they watch Perfect Rebel, I am counting them. Like I'm saying to you, memorizing is scary to me. So if you understand why you're picking the numbers and choosing them, it makes life better. Okay? So I want the people who've watched Perfect Rebel. Well, 3, they watch Perfect Rebel only, but still watch Perfect Rebel, right? 1, watch Perfect Rebel and Days, but still watch Perfect Rebel. 1, still watched Perfect Rebel, also watched some more. 6, watched all 3, but still watched Perfect Rebel. Yes? So I'm going to add them all up. So I have 11. We agree? Okay. I didn't even write the answer to this one. I just circled it. Okay. How many students watch I'm just putting the words together. Chill and Days, also known as Chase, it seems. Okay, cool. I'm working at a high rate right now. And is what shape? And is what shape? The eyeball. I'm basically poking my eye, so I hope that it's dead here with me. I can be a snowman too. So, chilled and Days is the eyeball. So I go to the eyeball and I count it. That's it. I don't overthink it. I want chilled and Days. So I want the people who have watched chilled and Days. Well, here's chilled. Here's Days. This is the overlap between chilled and Days, is it not? So how many is it? 8. Now some people are like, but there's 6 watch Perfect Rebel. Don't care. I didn't say they can't watch Perfect Rebel. I want chilled and Days, which is the eyeball, the overlap between those 2 circles. I don't care. Okay, I don't actually care about this P here at all, right? Because all they're asking me about is the chilled and Days. So I can imagine it as if it was its own 2 little circle Venn diagram and ignore the fact that that third one even exists, right? All right. So we had 6 and 2, which is 8. Chill or Days. Or is what shape? I'm being a snowman, if you haven't noticed. Snowman. All right. Chilled or Days is a snowman. So I don't like, some people want to cut off its side. Is that a snowman? Have you seen the snowman lately where it's just like, don't mind me, I'm just my little snowman over here. Because that's what people give me for answers. That's the weirdest snowman. You have a curved snowman with a bubble. Just don't do that. All right. So chilled and Days. That was supposed to be funny. No one even laughed. Nothing. Just silence. Silence and sadness. That's all we have. I was being a snowman that was curved with a bubble, and you all straight faced me. How is that even a thing? Okay, cool. All right. Let's add this. 68. 2 is 70. 17 is 87, 88, 89, 95. Did you see how I counted all of the stuff in the round snowman, not weird snowman? And you're all like, I never do that. Everyone does. Everyone cuts it off. I don't know why. You're like, I don't want those other ones. We do. Because or is the full snowman. Okay? How many watched all 3? 6. So is that middle one. All right. What does the 2 on the outside represent? The people who do not watch any of the 3 movies. People who do not watch Days, Chill, Perfect Rebel. And you guys, we want to be specific. So if you write the people who don't watch all 3 movies, are you actually tying it to this question at all? What 3 movies? It could be totally people who don't watch these 3. Like, so you have to state what the 3 movies are. The people who don't watch this, Days, Chill, and Perfect Rebel. If we just say doesn't watch the 3 movies, well, it could be 3 other totally different movies.
Could you say listed, the listed movies?
I would just list the movies. Because you're just saving pencil and chancing on deduction. And I would never save pencil for chance deduction. Yeah. And you're probably not saving that many pencil marks, actually, if you're putting them. So I would just state them. Now, what does the number 2 represent in the circle? So this one. It's in the eyeball. It's in the eyeball, correct? So it is chilled and dazed, but is it the full eyeball? Maybe chilled and dazed only, or we could say
Chilled and dazed, but not perfect.
yes, both are the same thing. We could say chilled and dazed only. So if you put that, that's good. So the people who watched, wow, I put an H in watched. Come on, Lepp, grab a man. Oh no, I'm gonna put that back in there. People who watched. Oh, it's changed. Perfect. Chill and dazed only. Or we could say chilled and dazed but not perfect rebel. Both of which full marks. We agree? All right. Now it says, in each of the following shade the region indicated. So we're moving to the next page. Shade with pencil. Good luck. You can do it. I believe in you. A and B is the intersection symbol. Also intersection. Also what shape on a Venn diagram? The eyeball. So I go to A and B and I look for its eyeball. Now the easiest way to decide that is to completely forget that the other circle exists. Pretend it's a 2 venn in your head. Like look at it as a 2 circle instead of a 3, right? So I'm going to look at it as a 2 circle. So I cover that little up and I say, oh, where's the and in this 2 circle? Oh, it's this eyeball here. Right? Okay. Now, the next one is A or B. So that is the A or B snowman. So I just say, hey, C doesn't exist. I'm pretending C doesn't exist. It's the A or B snowman. And it's the entire snowman, not some cut off sides. That would be the whole snowman. Right? No cut off sides or anything weird like that. It's just plain old door. The next one. I want A, but not B. That's going to be a small area because it has an and in between, correct? If it has an and, you have a small shading. Or more. Or more. Like the word more has or in it. Or more. More shading. And small shading. Okay? So I want what's in A, but not in B. So watch. This is A, but I want what's not in B. We agree? So if you look at and not as but not, it makes it a little easier for you. And remember that ands are small areas. Ands are small areas, or large areas, or more, Okay? Now I want A, but not B, but not C. Okay, cool. I have an eraser still. Oh, my highlighter's coming out. Okay. Cool. So I have A, but not B. Okay, by B. But not C. Okay, by C. What's that a fancy way of saying? Just A only. Right? All right. We are going to skip this one because I don't feel like overwhelming you today. We're going to go to this one. Okay. Everyone is going to do this. Ready? Deep breath in. Deep breath out. I can do this. I will not be overwhelmed. It is just 3 circles. It is not a big deal. I am doing good. This will be fine. Every time I give you something new, your faces all look like fear. Like sheer fear. Like I've understood till now. And today is the day where my life is going to be crappy. Like that's what your face looks like every single time. Like I'm getting it and it's going to go downhill. I'm good, but it's now downhill. It's not. Okay? If you go into this lesson feeling like I'm not going to be able to do it, you won't be able to do it. Or if you go into this lesson being like math sucks and I hate math and it's going to go downhill, it's going to go downhill. Okay? I promise you, even if you're overwhelmed when we do one example, by the 4th, 5th, 6th, it'll click. It'll click. It might take 5 or 6, and that's totally fine. That's what 30-2 is awesome about, is we have more time than 30-1. 30-1 flies. Like flies. We don't have to fly, which is nice. Okay? We can go at a good pace. All right. So we have an open mind. We can do this. I can do this. Even if it seems overwhelming at first, I can do this. It will click. I promise. Okay? I won't leave you in the dust. All right. Just like with 2 circle Venn diagrams, we have to start in the end, in the very middle. And the reason why we had to do that, unless there was onlys. If there was onlys, we could throw them on whenever we wanted. The knots, we could throw those on whenever. Like the ones that didn't like any of them, we could throw that on right away. But the reason why we have to start in the middle is because we have to make sure that we start there so the next one can subtract that because they already have those things, right? So for a 3 circle, I'm going to have to start in the very, 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 very middle, which is all 3. Okay? Then our next shape would be the next smallest shape would be the eyeballs, the ands, then the singles, then the ors. So for 3 circles, we always want to do, not a highlighter. Oh boy. So for the 3 circles, we always want to start with the all 3. And that's the middle of the triquetra. Okay? The all 3s. Then we want to go to the next, we will start smallest shape to largest shape, correct? So we want to do all 3s, then we want to do the ands, and the ands are eyeballs, correct? Then we want to do the singles, so that's like the people who liked Perfect Rebel or something, the singles, which is just a circle. And then our next biggest shape is the ors, which is the snowman. Right? Now, the other thing that we can do is we can start with the alls, and the other thing we can start with is the onlys. So if I had like 5 people like Perfect Rebel only, I could go to that right away and put it in. So these are the interchangeable first, then the ands, the singles, and the ors. Because I got to go to the smallest to the largest, because I need that smallest one before the next size, because they overlap, right? Anything that's overlapped, I need the previous overlap to calculate it. Okay. So we have to start off with all 3. So let's read the question first. We read it in its entirety. We don't just go searching. Before we start any question, they're all word problems. We read all of the words first, then go back. We don't predict what we have to do before we read the whole thing. Yes? That's your guys' downfall in 30-2 is guesstimating what you think I'm going to ask you to do without reading the whole thing. So we're reading the whole thing first. It says, Rachel surveyed grade 12 students about how they communicated with friends over the previous week. 66 called on a cell phone, so that's the cell phone circle. 76 texted, that's the texting circle. 34 used a social networking site, circle. 58 called on a cell phone and texted, eyeball. 18 called on a cell phone and used social networking site, eyeball. 19 used social networking site and texted and used a social networking site, eyeball. 12 used all 3, middle, right? So I went through and I've discussed what I'm going to do and decide what I'm going to do. First thing I have to do with the 3 circle anyways is write some stuff on it, like what the things are. Now, I have one circle at the top. You could do 2 circles at the top and 1 at the bottom. It doesn't matter because you're going to label it. You could label it different than me. I have to adapt to you when I mark it. But I'm going to go cell phone, texted, social networking site. So I'm going to go cell phone. texted social networking site. So I have to start at the all threes, right? One who's done all three. So how many are there that did all three? 12%. So what is this whole box going to add up to when it's percent? 100%, right? So I know in the very middle I have 12%. Now, those people used all three. They used texted and cell phone and social. But did they actually text and cell phone as well? Are they in the text and cell phone eyeball? Yep. Are they in the cell phone and the social networking eyeball? Yep. Are they in the texting and social networking eyeball? So those people have actually done those ads as well, right? That's why we have to start in that very middle. So next we go to the eyeballs. So I'm going to check this one off because it's one we used. The next one says 19 texted and used the social networking site. Does it say texted and used the social networking site only? Does it say that? If it said only, I would go to texted and social networking site right here and I would put a 19. We agree? But it says texted and social networking site, which we know is an eyeball. We agree? It's specifically this eyeball here. How many are already sitting in the eyeball? 12. So do I go 19 and 12 and make it really big? What do I do? You subtract. So 19 minus 12. So this is 7%. So of the 19 who texted and used a social networking site, 7 texted and used a social networking site only. Right? That's where we could go with this. Yes? All right. Now we have 18 called on a cell phone and used a social networking site. Does it say only? No, so it's the eyeball. Called on a cell phone and used social networking site is this new eyeball right here. And I need to have how many? 18. So how many do I still need in this little space? 6. Then I have 56 called on a cell phone and texted. So in the called on a cell phone and texted eyeball, this one right here, I need 56. I currently have 12. How many go in this open space? 44%. Do you see why I need to start on that middle? Because that middle already has people who did both. It has them doing something else, I don't really care. Still doing both. Okay? Then I have to go to my singles. 34%, and there actually are no ors on this one, so there are no snowmen, but there could be. 34 used a social networking site. Does it say no social networking site only? 34? Does it say only? No. So I need to have 34 who use social networking. Guys, these people in this circle all use social networking. This one, the 6 just happens to have a cell phone. This one, you happen to have all the other 2. This one happens to have texting, but they're still using social networking, are they not? So I have to take, don't remember the number, 34 and subtract off 12, 6, and 7, which is 25. So how many are here? 9%. Do you see that those other people still are doing social networking? They just happen to be doing other things, so they don't care. Do you know what I mean? Yeah? Okay. 76 texted. So in the texting circle, I need to have 76. I currently have 44, 56, 73. I don't remember the number I needed. 76. So how many just texted? 13, 20, 64, 74, 76, yeah. 76? I keep reading the numbers. It's my brain is like going mush. Okay, And then 66 we need on a cell phone. Make that be red. 66 we need on a cell phone. 44, 54, 56, 62. Thanks for the answer. And how many would be on a cell phone only? 4. What do I still have to remember? So how many pieces of I have to have how many regions on a 3 circle? Yeah, 8. How many have I filled in? How many do I still need? And don't forget the outside, right? The outside's the one you're going to forget. So 2 circle Venn diagrams, 4 regions. 3 circle Venn diagrams, 8 regions. Okay? If you add them all up, what does it give us shy of? What? 9? You all said it at different times, and then it didn't. It just sounded like, man.
No, altogether is 95.
You said 95?
Yeah.
That was the word you guys all just said together? Interesting. That is not what I heard. So this is a 5?
Yeah.
Okay. You said, what word did I say? I would have said 9%, because that's what it sounded like. But you all said 95. Very interesting. You have to add to 100. I didn't hear 5 at all. I heard 9. I heard 9%. And I was like, okay. Especially when you said 95, it's a lot off when you take it that way. And there's a 9 in it. And then the 5 I needed, but not, no. Cool, cool. All right. Look at here. What are these things? These are questions that pertain to the information we just filled in. Try them out. So, determine the percent of students who texted and used a social networking site but did not call on a cell phone. So, texted and social networking site is this. Texted and social networking site is eyeball right here, right? But they don't want them to use a cell phone. So I cover up the 12. So what is it? 7. Then it says, determine the percent of students who used only one form of communication. So that's those outside numbers, right? So it's people who texted only. The people, that's an eraser. That's going to backfire miserably. Texted only. Social networking only. Cell phone only. And when I add them up, what do I get? 26. I can't use yellow, that one. 26. Christmas colors. All right. Determine the percentage of students who used a cell phone only. 4. Right? Just the people sitting out here only cell phoning, you know? Determine the percent of students who did not use any of the 3 forms of communication listed above, which are with our big old debacle of everyone answering at the same time. We resulted in not 95. We resulted in 9, but we got there, and the answer is 5. And you have no homework.